Hey everyone, good morning. It's Matt, and this is sort of a dog's breakfast kind of post. When I have been thinking about what I've been up to over the past week or so, I've had it in mind to write kind of a wide-ranging post about technology, and for sure, I may yet do that. Uh, we have a really awesome podcast. The Ed Non-Tech podcast is awesome. I think I'm going to start there. We've done 3 seasons of the show, and Dr. Doug Reed, lately of Prince Edward Island, is the man. I'm really grateful to him. I'm really glad we're friends. I'm really glad that our creative partnership over the past 3 years has produced some what I consider really cool, thoughtful, engaging, interesting conversations about, well, technology, culture, education, somewhat of the emphasis on education, somewhat. And so I had the chance to check in with Doug. We had a midsummer kind of hour-long conference call kind of thing yesterday, where we started to make plans relative to having a book manuscript based on the Ed Non-Tech podcast ready to go potentially by this time next year. Potentially. We started a Google document. And for a lot of reasons, now is a natural time to consider this for our podcast series, extending the reach, expanding what we're able to do, reviewing everything over the past 3 years to do with the show, uh, checking analytics, and just sort of reviewing the format overall. So it gives us an opportunity to kind of get ready for the 4th season starting in September, probably mid-month thereabouts, maybe a little bit earlier, probably about the middle of September. And it gives us a chance to look at things thematically, right? To actually look fully at what we've talked about and how it's gone out into the world through various web based media outputs, I suppose. Um, and really taking that all into account to hopefully create a book or perhaps potentially even a series of books based around some of our conversations. And I don't know what the practical applications of it, more or less, that's kind of the direction that things took when we were talking yesterday. I don't think there's anything out of school there, to be sure. And yeah, that has kind of led me through considering my use of technology generally. I've completely strategically downgraded my phone to an early aughts style flip phone with no smartphone capability on it whatsoever. The only aspect of it that's a drag whatsoever is that it lacks a proper um, way to stream music, basically. But I think for my purposes right now, that's an acceptable trade off. It is definitely an acceptable trade-off. And so I think I'll probably put some comments speaking to the tale of two flip phones, if you can believe it. Um, yeah, bit of an interesting narrative there. One of the flip phones has been deep sixed, as it were. The other flip phone is still standing, it's still in use, and I sure do care for it a lot. So, anyway, check below. See what I did there? Got some proper what? media influencer stuff. I'm so not a media influencer. Every time I even consider what a media influencer is a thing as a phenomenon, these people who get paid like in the multiple thousands of dollars or more every month to like do online streaming and videos and the like, it's just, it literally makes my head explode. You can't see it right now, but there's actually like blood and brain material all over the inside of this apartment. It's just, I'm I'm using a filter to block it out. Anyway, anyway. So in terms of the technology, there's a few other things I've been given to consider, right? By the time you look at this, I will have hopefully attempted to log into Spotify manually. I think I have an account with them, and I think that that account that I have is linked to our podcasting episodes that are located there right now. I intend, if it's possible, to remove physically, manually remove all of our podcast episodes from Spotify because the CEO, and I mentioned this on the Substack before, this is common knowledge, I think, that the CEO of Spotify has in fact participated in a multi-hundred million euro investment in weaponized AI applications, which to me completely flies in the face of what an educational podcast or other cultural podcasts are meant to be, even. And so, at which point we remove that. I've taken down the plugin off the WordPress from all of my podcast and interview stuff that puts those in podcast format into Spotify. So, regardless of whether I can actually remove from their servers all of our previous episodes, there won't be any more going on there, right? There just won't. There's going to be about four podcast streaming platforms that I slash we engage with, and at which point that'll be it. I'll just make sure that they get to those four spots, and then just nothing new that I am involved in will be going on to Spotify. So I'm not going to pretend I'm like Joe Rogan. I'm not going to pretend like I'm somebody who's a big deal in the podcasting space whatsoever. I don't even have a book out under my own name, right? So when I say I'm a writer, I mean, I'm talking seriously about life level stuff, but I'm also somebody who's got a fairly limited public profile with this stuff. Um, I don't pretend that it's going to have any meaningful impact on Spotify or among the literary or artistic, creative, musical people or anything of the sort, but it is an ethical decision. And from my standpoint, as somebody with a doctorate with the word technology in the title, that's important to me. We talk about high level, meaningful, impactful practice, theory, and praxis, the integration of the two on the Ed Non-Tech podcast. To me, technology choices have huge personal, significant ramifications for how individuals and groups live and carry out business and the quality of life. Increasingly, as I grow older, quality of life. I have fewer moments ahead of me. I want those moments to be significant. I want them to be rich experientially. And I feel like Spotify really does a lot to diminish music and music fandom and the connection between musicians and fans, honestly. And so, again, just little bit more on that down below, as well as, I guess, some associated technology kind of experiences that I've had, as I say, relative to a couple of flip phones, relative to Adobe Creative Cloud. That's been slightly interesting. Slightly interesting. The fact that you can use their stock video library to basically have custom human feature videos off of AI prompts, as a basic feature set within a cloud-based media production suite. That to me is interesting. Again, I've said a few things about that on Facebook, and I probably am saying a bit more down below. But again, it really causes one to consider the future, if you will, of television, motion picture industries, and what our conception and narrative even looks like. Um, Again, just looking sort of at the basic capabilities of a basic media cloud based kind of tool set, you have to realize that the high level stuff that's just being tested right now or used by heavily commercialized applications, I mean, it's generations ahead of what we experience as the, you know, entry level consumer, right? So again, it's interesting to me, just given the current topics in public discourse as they kind of make their way across my Facebook feed and the one or two other ways, I suppose, that I find out about what even goes on, how the narratives are shaped, and how they're moving people's lives in ways directly and indirectly, explicitly and implicitly, and in areas very gray and ambiguous. So that's the space that technology tends to speak to for me, right? The ambiguity, the gray space where we seem to live a lot of our lives. And I think technology, the capabilities of the modern internet have a lot of potential to elevate people and to, I guess, give agency to people who don't or didn't necessarily have that before. But the other side of it is that the access to the internet is largely through a heavily monetized, hyper capitalistic, and to me, I think right wing sort of interface, right? Through search engines, through apps, and the like. So the capabilities of the internet are awesome. The way that it has been commercialized and turned into a complete and utter space for making money off of internet clicks, and the way that that has manifested and the way that we deal with it is quite frankly disgusting. It's an abomination. It's reprehensible. That's my honest opinion as a person and as a human being, if I were just to say what it even is. Right. And so that's where my sensibility as an educator comes in. That's where I go, okay, part of me would rather just not even use this stuff and completely disassociate and do my little cultural enterprises more or less fully offline. But I realized when I was, in my post teenage years, I realized that the internet was not gonna, was in the middle of reshaping society. And in whatever kind of way, I decided through my educational practice that I was going to be involved in that in some way because it's fascinating to me, it's interesting to me, and I think it's important. I think technology decisions that we make just in a very, you know, consumer sort of way, just in our day to day, have pretty significant impacts beyond ourselves, certainly as individuals. And yeah, that's again, maybe a little bit more on that down below. So 15 minutes has passed here. I don't suppose very many of you, the few, the mighty that there are, have even made your way all the way through this. But to any audience who is remaining at this point in the video, much appreciation and respect. Really, really grateful to anybody checking this out for any reason whatsoever. And I do hope you enjoy the written commentary here as well. Take care, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. Bye for now.